It is great to be with you today. My name is John Mallett. Thank you for listening to our podcast, Leaving a Legacy, Stories about Homeownership. And the reason for our podcast is really to give inside information as to homeownership, the value that it brings, the idea that transforming lives through homeownership. Homeownership is something that's grounded, that's solid. And as a result, as our guest, we have real estate professionals. We also have people who own homes, first-time home buyers, also giving their stories as well, because we believe that homeownership makes a difference. The right environment, the right home can help a person move their life forward. Today, we have a great guest with us. Eric Völker is with us today, and he is with Beverly & Company. And the reason why I'm so interested to hear about Eric's story today is that he's been able to do 1,000 transactions in the last 7 years. That's a lot of transactions. That's a lot of success in using his specialty, which is in social media, being able to drive business in, and not only that, but his ability to convert them to actual leads that take action and buy or sell properties. So it is great to be with you today, Eric. Very good to be with you. 1,000 transactions in the last 7 years. So, you know, we're in a market right now that this is a really challenging market for a lot of agents, right? And so the question is the first thing, and I know this may be some of your secret sauce here, but I'm going to ask it. Tell me some of your success stories and how you've been able to have the kind of success you're having even in this market. And by the way, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I mean, just meeting you and kind of some of the similar places where, you know, professionals meet, you know, I think it was a food place, right?
Yep.
Erewhon.
Yeah.
Such a great place.
Yep.
Food's great. The ambience is great. But most importantly, the energy of the people are great because they're caring about their health, and it kind of translates into everything in their life, right? If your health is not good, it's kind of going to...
Yeah.
So yeah, the secret sauce. All right. Well, omnipresence is the secret sauce. And by doing that through social media and having people see you over and over gives that public attention and kind of verifies you as the expert in what you're doing. So everything that I did, especially in the beginning on my real estate transactions, I would always put some kind of social media or picture or some kind of movement around it so people would always see it.
So when you talk about omnipresence, isn't there a point to where people just get tired of looking at you? They don't want to look at you anymore? I mean, is there a point where there's a saturation? Because omnipresence to me means like, man, he is all around. He's everywhere, right?
It's funny you say that because the haters go up, right?
Because that's what some people would say, right?
Yeah. It depends what you're doing, right? If I'm doing like skits against people, you know, those funny pranks, and I'm doing bad things and trying to get views that way and likes, I think that could, you know, for a lot of people, that would be a hindrance, or that would be something
that fire on you. Yeah.
I know people are doing it, but it's, you know, I want to give value, right? So, I'd say you get a little bit of that, but it's not what you think. Because then over time, people just realize, oh, I know this person. They have a familiarity.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, who is this person? What is he about?
So really what you're saying is the quality of the content.
Yeah. But frequency. Frequency more. I mean, don't get me wrong. You want to have quality if you can, but you don't need it.
Okay.
But like your place here is excellent quality.
Right. So what kind of presence do you put out there? What would your reels look like?
Well, you know, I would actually post a lot of results that I would do, right? So usually when I would have a closing, I would post something around that. And then I would give a description of kind of how I did it, you know, and about the person. This person has been shopping with other realtors before. They haven't been having any luck because they've been losing offers because they're going up against multiple offers. Well, what do we do? Well, we used a cash offer on the last place that I was with. But the main thing is really getting to know, because I was working with a lot of buyers at the time, getting to know the realtor of that listing, knowing who they are, doing my due diligence online about them, and then finding out about them, and then kind of catering everything towards that.
Oh, fantastic. Now that's really helpful, because when I pick up the phone, because what I do is I call, as soon as you submit the offer to the listing agent, I call the listing agent and say, Eric just submitted you this offer. I wanted to let you know that our clients are extremely well qualified. What do we need to do to put the file on the top of the stack? And you would be amazed at the kind of questions that they ask, because they really haven't been covered by the agent who submitted the offer in some cases. In a lot of cases, they do a great job, right? And they dot the I's and cross the T's. And so that phone call is so important because it helps them understand. It differentiates us, basically, and it differentiates you. But the thing that I really like about what you're saying is that you study the listing agent, because the agent who takes the offer, see, the listing agent's going to roll out 5 or 10 offers to the seller. And the agent is really going to help the seller understand the one thing that they want is to close the deal. And if they know that you can do it and you've done all the study with them and you know about them and you know what's important to them and what's important to the seller, then all of a sudden you can punch those hot buttons and they allow them to get through the minutia, so to speak, to get through all the noise so you actually get an accepted offer. That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I remember this one deal in Azusa that we were doing, or I had a buyer that I was bringing, and we were a cash offer. I believe there was 13 deals at the time, or 13 offers, and one of them was cash, and one of them was higher. And I got to do my due diligence on the realtor. I found out about her, looked her up on LinkedIn, knew that she liked pets, all these different things. And I would bring this kind of stuff up when I'm talking to her, right, during that showing, because she was there that day. And I love when the listing agents go to the property to show you their client's home.
Yeah.
I'm not, even though they have like a one of those people that you hire, like a showing agent, that's not really the listing agent.
Right.
It's still okay, but it's just much better. There's a 90% chance I can get that deal if I'm there with the actual listing agent.
And so you do your research before you even...
Absolutely. Every time.
Wow, that's amazing.
I want to know where they went to school so I can talk about something, because it's, don't get me wrong, it's genuine. It's not like a trickery here. It's really getting to know about that person. Did they go to Michigan State University? Did they play hockey? Did they, are they about cancer? I try to find the common denominator that they have, and then I talk to them about it. And since I have so much experience and research in different fields, that's what I use, and it links us up and it creates that synergy. And now I get them to like me because they trust me. And now I talk to them about my client and why they should choose my client.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's people who do business with people who they like and trust. That's really what it comes down to. Okay, that is a big deal.
Yeah. It's
huge. That's something that I haven't heard a lot of people say, that you really go into details about the listing agent.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What other things can you offer that might be helpful? I mean, that in and of itself is worth the whole day today.
Yeah.
Just doing that.
Yeah. Again, like I said, it's a lot of non-traditional stuff. So sometimes I would wait for the homeowner, if they still live there, to come home, right? I would wait to see them. And if, obviously non-trespassing or anything like that, I would say, hey, how you doing? Are you selling? Oh, yeah, my realtor. Okay. And of course, we were going to go to that realtor. We weren't going to try to bypass them or do any kind of thing like that. But then I would just ask them, where are you going? Where are you moving? Because a lot of times, some of these places would have garage sales, like the weekend before or that weekend, even though they had an open house, maybe the prior.
Yeah.
And I just want to get to know about what their situation is. I got divorced. I'm leaving in 2 months. I need cash. So I would get as much information as I can. I mean, obviously, I would go to the realtor first if I could.
Yeah.
Because sometimes realtors withhold information. So then I would go directly, if I could, to the seller and say, hey, what are you trying to do? I'd get all that information, and then I would cater that offer to what that situation was.
Oh.
But the most important thing out of everything was I would have them remember me because they liked me. And sometimes I would stay there 2 hours with the seller. Because a lot of times sellers were there too, that were still living there when the agent said, oh, just go over the sellers there, you can show your client.
Yeah.
That was like a 98% closing ratio right there. Because now I have my buyer meet the seller.
Right.
And I could tell when I walk in a home, the pride of homeownership of that person. Do they take care of the house? Do they have pictures? I love pictures because then I can see, oh, they have kids, their family. You can start seeing about that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, when they're showing me the house, literally it's like a 98% success rate, because then they meet my clients, if they're good clients, which they are, because I don't work with clients that are not usually fully underwritten and good people, just good people.
Yeah.
And once we talk for 2 hours, they see the offer come out, even when there's multiple offers. We had sometimes 30 offers during the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
They saw that offer. Oh, there's Eric and there's John, right? Comes in, we're going with you. Not even to think twice about it. They looked at the other ones, they just they gave them a chance, but they said, there's no way. Because of pride of homeownership, they knew they weren't selling to some investor that's not going to take care of the house. It's just going to do like a lipstick kind of,
flip.
And then they're going to make some money off it. They want someone to enjoy their house. They were there for 30 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that connection.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So really what you're expanding on is leaving a legacy, is continuing to leave that. I mean, when we have clients where they said, wait a minute, man, we got to watch out who we sell our house to, because we don't want our neighbors to hate us after we're gone.
Yeah. Oh,
we want to be able to leave the neighborhood in good shape.
And you gotta really deep dive the neighborhood too. Like when I have a client, if a client says, I want to live in, Woodland Hills, I just don't go showing every house in Woodland Hills. There's sections in every city that are not great. When I lived in Beverly Hills, a lot of crime happened on the sides where I lived, and I was right off Rodeo Drive on the flats. So much more crime happened there than happened in the hills in Beverly.
Yeah.
So I would actually deep dive the neighborhood. I remember clearly this one time we had this client from overseas, Chinese, that didn't really know the neighborhood. They were buying a home in Encino.
Mm-hmm.
And you think Encino, $3 million home, $2 million home, they're all nice. Everything's perfect. But I always observe beforehand and look at the neighborhood. And I saw someone came out of the house once, and they were looking like something was off, that they didn't look like the average person that would probably be in that neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
And I asked the person, excuse me, that was walking out, you live here, And they said, no, I work here. I go, what do you mean you work there? And she goes, oh, that's a drug rehab center that I work for. And I said, oh.
Interesting.
And so you don't judge the place because most likely something's not going to happen.
Right.
But when the house is right up on top of, over the, the fence where people can get out and you want your privacy, and this person was like an influencer. I said, I just want to let you know that this is here. And would you still live here if this was the case? And she said, no way. Thank you so much for saving me for that. Because I remember in upstate New York, there used to be what's called like pot homes or drug homes, right? And it'd be in these $1 million homes. You'd think everything's great, but then there would be so much crime there.
Yeah.
Even though it's a great neighborhood. So you can't judge a neighborhood. Because,
So that's interesting. So what you're really saying is that what I hear from you, just a few minutes that we've been on so far, is you like to dig deep.
Yeah.
In other words, you want to get down into the crevices to see what's really going on. And I think that is amazing.
Yeah.
Because that gives you knowledge that nobody else has.
Yeah.
Right. And as soon as you have that, then game over. Right. Especially if you know how to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No buyer or no seller or any client in what I'm doing can ever come back to you and say, this Eric guy, he screwed me. He did something bad. You'll never... try to go online and find it. I mean, if I find something, it'd be great. But it's not right. I'd try to go, resolve it.
Yeah.
But it's not, because I go way out of my way. And you know what? I turn everything into an experience that you're never going to forget.
Oh, tell me about that.
Well, I'm a very religious guy after, been through like a lot of tragedies in my life. And, life is too short. You don't know if you're going to be alive in a day, an hour, in a second. And you might as well work for God and do the best you can do and leave that experience with somebody. I can't even tell you, even when I was just getting gasoline in Beverly Hills 20 years ago or 15 years ago, where I was just nice to somebody, or I asked people how they're doing, like the little things.
Yeah.
Right. And then they're like I think I was shopping with my wife in Santa Monica or somewhere, or Brentwood. We were in like a Surla tub. And one of the girls who was, I think, the checkout girl, she goes, "Oh, I remember you. You were such a nice guy. If it wasn't for you, blah blah blah." And I go, "What did I do?" Like, I was just the only person that was nice to her at the gas station.
Right.
I mean, are you serious? Like, so those little things and really getting to know people and going above and beyond will leave people remember you.
Right. And that's where the experience comes from.
Every time.
All right. So now the question I have is, what drives Eric? Why is Eric in the real estate business? I love to ask that question because there's always a really deep meaning. There's always a really powerful meaning behind it.
Yeah.
People think of sometimes real estate agents, they just stick the pole in the ground, and they go, it's now listed, and that's all they do. And the reality is there's hundreds of things that a good real estate professional does for their clients. It's enormous, and it makes a big impact on their life. And I find that these agents they're doctors, they've been lawyers, they've been to college, they've had trade schools. I mean, they've had just a lot of experiences, and all of that experiences goes towards the benefit of that client. And sometimes clients don't realize, I don't think they realize the magnitude of the character of the person serving them. I think that real estate professionals have so much to offer because of their life experiences. So tell me why are you in real estate?
It's funny. I read this book, gosh, I think that was 25 years ago, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
Right.
You bet. I've read that, yeah.
And I was in the acting business back then because I came from New York to be an actor way back then. And, I was always struggling for money. Yeah, I got some jobs. Sometimes I made a living in and out of jobs doing different things. And so in this book, it said, get a sales job, learn sales. So I saw this job online called the Investor's Business Daily. It's a stock newspaper selling stocks.
Uh-huh.
They're like, we're hiring salespeople over the phone. And so I applied. I got the job. And mind you, I've never sold anything in my life. Not like that, right?
Yeah.
And literally, I think it was 3 weeks or a month. I don't know. It was a while. I was horrible. I was scared to get on the phone. People were yelling at me. And we were selling, the financial the stock newspapers. And it was only like, I think it was $500 or $200 around that.
Yeah.
And we'd sell subscription for like 2 years. Maybe we'd make like $300 on the commission. And it was interesting because I was going to get fired. They said, you're not making your goals. We're going to let, if you don't, shape up, we're going to fire you. So I go, this is ridiculous. I'm so scared. What am I going to do? And I started listening to the guys. I got my first sale. It gave me such confidence. And then I met Bill ONeal, who was Warren Buffett's best friend. They're best friends because they're into stocks, right? And his whole can slim technique, that was Bill ONeal. So I talked to Bill, and he gave me all this, encouraging information, and gave me confidence about his product, and so then from that point, about 3 to 6 months later, I became the top sales guy in the whole room.
Oh my word!
They started making video or like CDs on me and that kind of thing. But then I'm like, gosh, because they kept changing the commission structure. And I noticed at a lot of different jobs, a lot of companies where they end up going down, or they maybe not go to their highest potential.
Yeah.
So they keep changing the commission structure on the agents. And your agents are one of the most important lifeblood of the company.
Right.
And so I thought, you know what? I'm making all this money doing this. I forgot how old I was at the time. I might as well try sell real estate. So I went and applied at this Boardwalk Realty and these other realty companies. And I got in there and I made zero money because there was no training. There was no training on anything. And I'm like, gosh, this is hard. I got to keep putting up this money for leads, and no one really is training me. So then I started working with temp companies, doing more acting stuff, and, just figuring it out. But then I'm like, I got to get back into real estate because a friend of mine who I knew doing all these Robert Kiyosaki events, doing these meetup.coms in his house in West LA, he said, I'm thinking about getting in real estate. I'm doing all this foreclosure and all this stuff, but I'm not really making money. This Indonesian guy. And I said, why don't you just sell real estate normally, like regular? Like, you have money, your mom's wealthy, And he goes, oh, my English is not good. I go, and he started selling stuff at the swap meet, like selling photo albums from Indonesia. And I'm like, just go over, just so normal. Anyways, to make the story short, he went over to the east side to like Monrovia, over on that end, San Gabriel area.
Mm-hmm.
And he started, working for Coldwell Banker. He started making a couple of sales. He's like, oh, I can do this. And so to make the story short, he became really big. And he was like, he became the top RE/MAX franchise in the state of California at the time. And I got to know some of his people over there. And I started going over there for some of his events because he brought Robert Kiyosaki over. And later on, I'm like, you know what? I want to work with you guys. I want to learn the business. So I went over there, and we were doing a lot of social media, and we were getting clients that way. I noticed that's how he was getting his clients. He was doing a lot of social media, and he was doing a lot of advertising too. He paid some money to Zillow, and that's where I started just kind of learning the business, right? Because I was around top producers.
Right, you had a mentor that you could,
And I would help all of them, and by helping all of them, I would pick up all their different strategies on what worked and what didn't, and I would just add it to my own, right? And it was
okay. So stop there. So that's really interesting to me, because that means that number one, you had a drive to succeed, right? And number two, what happened is because of the drive, you basically humbled yourself and said, "Hey, I need help," and you were like a sponge. I mean, that's big. That's big, because now I can see a little bit better of why you're able to connect with people so well, because you're really a sponge. You really want to find out what you need to do to be successful, what you need to do to be successful with this individual. So that's pretty powerful. So go ahead.
Well, and funny enough, I didn't really make money there right away. And it was an hour drive from Beverly Hills. I lived in Beverly Hills, and I would drive out there every morning for training.
Okay.
So I said, God, I got to start doing my own business. So then I started my own little e-commerce business after that. I made money, but then I'm like, I still love, there's something about real estate, because I'm helping people. And I remember whenever I close a transaction and I would look at the person in their face, it would just give off this energy like you were part of helping somebody make one of the most important decisions of their life. And it's not even that about the money. They just bought the biggest thing, but it was like you affected a generation of somebody on how you helped them where they're going to go. And that could lead down to their, children.
Exactly.
Later on.
Well,
it affects their life.
It is. It's intergenerational.
Yeah.
So where does this drive to help come from?
I've seen a lot over the years, growing up in upstate New York, my family in the beginning had a little bit of money, but then my family divorced. So I had a mother that was, kind of taking care of me.
Kind of struggling.
Yeah. And, it's funny going from a little bit of money, a little bit of stability to like nothing, right?
Yeah.
And seeing that. So I became this kind of ungovernable kind of kid, right? And I didn't like authority, especially the school system.
Yeah.
And plus the way I think and the books I was reading at the time.
Man, I got to feel sorry for your teacher.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I mean, I got into so much trouble in school. It's incredible. I mean, but it was a good thing because it's better to get in trouble before you hit 16 than when you're after, because then the laws are different.
Yeah.
But after a while, when you're doing something, again, the energy comes back at you. So if you're putting bad out there, the longer you get away with doing bad, it's going to hit you even more. Just like if you're doing drugs,
right?
There is no good ending, right? There's no good.
It's always a bad ending.
So the longer it goes, the worse it's going to be. So luckily, I had that, I guess you could say, some badness in the beginning, and learned from it, right? But when I came out here to California to quote unquote do my dream, which was acting at the time, I didn't even have any money. I had like $900, and I was like, I could fly. Because I was prior working at the airlines for Continental Airlines when I was in upstate New York in Albany, where I grew up. And I met a girl on a plane when I was flying back from Texas. I said, hey, can I stay with you? I don't know anybody in California. And she said, you can stay with me. But anyway, so I didn't have much money, and I could have taken a plane, but then I'd be out of money because I only had $900, and I think plane ticket was like $100, $200 back then.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to be venturous, and I'm going to take a bus. I took a Greyhound bus.
Okay.
I think it was like $120. That was like the craziest experience in my life, because I thought when you take a bus back, because that was the first time I took a bus, I thought you go from, maybe you make a few stops to go from California or to go from New York to California. We made 150 stops, and we went to 8 states. And that was an experience in itself. And we went to Boston first before we went, the route to LA, to California.
And what do you think you learned from that experience?
Just people and personalities.
Mm-hmm.
People. I noticed the difference between millionaires and billionaires in all my readings and people I've met and people I know. It's all about the people, right?
Yeah.
It's about the people and what you can do with the people and what you can bring out in the people and how to utilize them. It's not bad to use people. I think people think of it a different way when you say use people, like use their talents is a good thing.
Yeah.
Use what they're good at, that they might not even know what they're good at, right? But not use them in a,
Negatively.
Yeah. It's good to use people. It's good to use each other.
Yeah. It's good to be able to ask for help.
Yeah.
Which is what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's roll on that. So then what caused you to be able to be in a position to where all of a sudden you're getting all these deals coming in? What led up to that in your life?
So when I was with that company, I only did 2 deals in 6 months. I made $5,000. Those were 2 lease deals, luxury lease deals. So that wasn't any money. Right. So then I'm like, God, what am I going to do? So then I saw this tech company in Woodland Hills. This is new thing. Redfin came out, it's all, online, put out your offer easy, because I knew AI and all this stuff was coming in the future. So there was this company that came out called Rex, and I immediately saw they were hiring for agents. So I got onto that company, and because it was more of like a contractual situation, almost like an employee, but a contract,
mm-hmm.
I was able to do volume, because they're doing all the advertising. They get big dollars from their investors to do advertising.
Yeah.
And that's really what makes a normal, like a realtor you've seen that's been doing it for 20 years, who gets mega business. They've been doing it for 20 years, but they've been paying advertising, every month for those 20 years.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking like maybe $10,000, $50,000 a month.
And a lot of times we don't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you see them now, but they've been doing it for a decade. And so I thought to myself, you know what? This kind of model, because they were doing a flat rate, because I knew it would be high volume,
Mm-hmm.
exposed me to literally the first year, I think it was like 190 listings, just alone, right? But I knew I would have to deep dive with every single client for them to remember me, right? And leave them an impression, and then always follow up with them.
Yeah.
Send them something, say hello, text them, how's the dog, how's your daughter in school, whatever it is, right? So they're always seeing me or knowing me, and it sure helps that my name is known as well, because that kind of reminds people as well.
So how would you do that with that many number of people?
How did I do those transactions? Oh, well, I was part of teams. I helped teams out.
I see.
Yeah. You can't do volume like that, but yeah, you always need people. That's why I always have partner agents now, or showing agents, or transaction coordinators. Yeah, you can't do volume like that by yourself. You will probably die of stress.
Yeah. So really it's been working as teams.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Okay.
That's all.
And so you're able to get other agents to partner with, even if they're in different companies.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I like this company that I've just got involved with, because 100%. Because when you're with a 100% company, you can kind of spread it out. Go halfers or do whatever kind of deal you're doing with the agent that you're bringing the deal.
Yeah.
So pretty much I do all the marketing. I do all the marketing online, all the social media, and we've been rolling out door knocking. We've also been doing phone calls at work, and then I do my due diligence on the agents who have done deals for a while, who I've known, who I've met, who I've trusted, and just the areas that they're into and that they know.
Yeah.
That's how I dial in on which agents are good. Just because they've done a transaction last month, or maybe they've done a lot of transactions, doesn't mean they're a really good agent. Some of them might have been around a while, because sometimes the company gives them leads too. They didn't do their, the full round circle of their due diligence on that person. They just handed them off.
So you do a deep dive to make sure you're working with somebody that's good.
I have to know.
Yeah.
I really have to know who they are. I just can't take anybody either, because I know how I work. Again, a lot of agents, not all, they get a listing and they put it on the MLS and they just cross their fingers. That's it. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, there is 500,000, I think they say, agents on the MLS now, give or take, right? That's a lot of people. And a lot of them, 70% get get the buyer agent from there. So it's not bad.
Mhm.
But just to rely on that, especially with the interest rates out right now and what's going on in our market, I've seen deals on some prior agents that I know in the past. Their deals are sitting there 170 days on the market, which is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Unacceptable. I remember when I was working with this other company in Culver City, and I was just going to open houses for other agents, to meet people, to try to get leads, to lead generations, or back then.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't moving this property. I think it was a $2 million property. That one was also on Benedict Canyon in Beverly Hills. And the property was not moving. And I said, what are we going to do? I said to this one agent. He goes, get on the phone and start calling other agents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's other agents who have buyers who might want to come here. I was like, absolutely. So there always has to be something you're doing, especially if the house is not moving.
Yeah.
And that's one of them, calling other agents.
Interesting.
I even go into companies, or I'm telling you, LinkedIn, unbelievable platform when it comes to social media. I can't even tell you how many things I've gotten going into companies, talking to HRs or just employees of companies, telling them who I am, what I do, and them trusting me, and I'm, get to know them, and me getting leads or helping them in some capacity.
That's huge.
Just from LinkedIn.
That's huge.
Today.
Okay, so now I want to go a little bit deeper into, because I was reading your bio that you sent me, which is really pretty extensive. And there was a part in there where you've had some challenges in the past. And it was about your wife.
Yes.
That happened. So I want to hear a little bit about that, because that really, from what I read, that little short part, I thought, that's got to contribute something to Eric's success right now. That's got to be something that I need and want to know about.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lay that on me a little bit.
Yeah. So awesome question. I mean, it's, so while I was doing the real estate or after that, I'm like, this is not working. What am I going to do? So I got a job selling like hair transplants for Bosley.
Really?
This was 2008 when the market's not good.
Yeah.
Right? Or 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And I was doing good. We're doing like calls or scheduling, doing all this stuff. And they wanted me to go over to the Philippines and train so that, because they were outsourcing. A lot of companies were outsourcing back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, I can't do that right now. You know what I mean? I just moved to Beverly Hills. I'm getting settled. And so it was Christmas time and they laid us off. They kept a couple people, but because I said I didn't want to go, they laid us off. So now I have no job, right? And luckily we moved close because the economy crashed. We bought a property in Pasadena and we had like credit lines. We were doing stuff with that and all that. And we just said, we got to move and we got to figure something out. We almost lost our house in Pasadena. So we used our credit cards. We went to Beverly Hills. I got this job and they laid us off. And literally, my wife, it was like December-ish. My wife said she felt like some kind of a lump or something. It was something unusual. So we got checked out. We got like a biopsy and stuff like that. We didn't know anything about health or cancer, anything. And I came back and she had cancer. So now I have no job. And not only was it just cancer, it was one of the most aggressive cancers you can have, right? So
That's
the
tough.
mindset, right?
Right.
So and our money's dwindling. The economy sucks, right? No job. And my wife was in mortgage, but I got her out. I think she got her job at Neiman Marcus. And again, that's why I believe, I got the property, the rental. We lived in a studio, right? But it was close, so she could walk to work, and I could walk to work because I thought my car was going to get repoed. Like, it was really bad, right? So now she's got cancer, right? And I remember I went on the floor and I cried. And I wasn't a religious guy, but I mean, I was brought up Catholic. It wasn't,
Yeah.
maybe we'd go at Thanksgiving or Christmas, we'd go to church, or maybe once in a while. No big,
Right. Right.
not even a lukewarm Christian. And I'm telling you, John, I cried on the floor. I said, I don't know what made me say it. I said, Jesus, give me the cure to my wife. And if you do this, I'll give it to everybody for free. Not that I would charge her, but I'll give it to them because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through. Right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden things started coming my way. You know, the internet was out for a while now. I think Facebook just came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing all this due diligence online on how to find what's true, because there's so many lies out there, even in real estate, investing, or health, or wealth. A lot of stuff online is false. You really got to deep dive into that and find out what's right.
Right.
And a lot of stuff on Facebook, it says, do this, drink this tea, get cured, do this, do that. And it wasn't true. So I'm like, God, what am I going to do? I can't decipher what's right or what's wrong. And somebody told me, it was someone spoke to me that the Holy Spirit was saying, follow the common denominators. This person was vegetarian. This person was vegetarian. Oh, okay, so we'll go vegetarian. Oh, this person was eating green, and this person was eating green salads. Okay, so I was utilizing that, all the things that I was learning. So anyways, I'm not a doctor, right? And the only way I could verify what I'm doing is right or wrong is by blood tests. Because there's blood markers when you have cancer, your liver numbers spike up, a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing that. And then in the beginning, we did do the surgery because I didn't know anything. And that caused a lot of other problems. But then they kept hammering us. You got to do chemo. She'll be dead in 2 years. I mean, you can't even imagine the fear factor of what was going on. Mind you, with everything else too. We got to pay the bills and what's going to happen, right? So when I prayed, it's like I started running through walls. I got this energy about me, and it made me run through walls. And because of that, it made me want to do that with everything. And then I noticed that, God's in all of us. So we have to love each other, but we have to help each other and do whatever we can to, get the best reaction of that person and result in life and value.
Yeah, yeah.
So all that. So, I mean, to make the story short, we found the best doctors. They did that little surgery. They took out the cancer, but then we went completely holistic. I was getting hit on both sides from her family. If I made a mistake, because we're going alternative, and then she dies.
Yeah.
I'm not even worried about her family hating me or everybody wanting to kill me. I got to live with that myself.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's over for me.
So why did you not go the chemo route?
Because something told me instinctually that it was wrong. There's no quick fix in life.
Mm-hmm.
There's no quick fix in life.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, and it just, when someone's pressuring you to do something, and then you do your research, because I read this, there was a Suzanne Summers book that came out, Knockout, by Suzanne Summers. She had cancer. And I read all the things, and then I started reading, so many people die just from the medications on whatever's wrong with them, high blood pressure or anesthesia. So many people die from anesthesia. It's crazy because they get, allergic to it. Their lungs fill up. Yeah. They get hypoxic, whatever it is, right? So I thought, there's no quick fix. Everyone has cancer in their body, and you got to become alkaline. And to do that, you got to do it through the food, through your mindset. Luckily, my wife was at peace with God, and she let me do what I have to do. Because, to date, I've counseled over 1,000 people on what to do who've had cancer, stage 4, stage 2, stage whatever. And only 2 of them are alive today in the last 13 years. And the only reason why is because they can't believe that it's the food and it's the mindset, So, yes, some people are still alive today that did some types of chemo with some types of cancer. But that would be my last resort. But for my wife and for me, no, that's not even an option. It's like fighting a war overseas, right? Yes, there's terrorists that don't like us overseas, but if you throw a big bomb and you start killing the people who are innocent that have nothing to do with the war, and they see that that's an American ship, they're not going to like America. They're going to hate us.
Yeah.
Same thing with yourself.
So a lot of ripple effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to, systematically do it, but you want to, it's point by point, especially with cancer. So that kind of got the fire life.
So that really put an under you to just move forward.
Well, you know what they say? What do they say? The greatest, when you go through the hardest times, that creates the best times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
So I looked at everything differently.
That's amazing, Eric. That's really a powerful story. So tell me what it is, why people would want to use Eric. Now, we've already talked about it, so I think it's really obvious why.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, give me a little bit of idea of what differentiates you and for the purposes of your clients. And what makes Eric different?
Just massive overvalue. Things that nobody else is going to do. Like I said, like for an example, for a listing, it's not moving. I mean, I do it anyways, but just we'll talk in case purposes that if the house is not moving, it's sitting there, what are we going to do? Well, I pick up the phone call. I start calling other agents that I know in the neighborhood or in other places who have buyers who are looking for a place like that property. I go into companies, look into HRs. Are you guys moving any employees out here to this city? Do they need a place? Maybe they need to rent. Or maybe they want to buy the place and have their employees rent that place for a while.
Yeah.
I create options where there is no options. And
I love that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. You can't just stop. You got to keep going. And then you got to think of other ways. You know what I mean? You just can't stop. And so that's when people work with me, they're getting this fierce persistence and motivation of getting someone who's obsessed with getting the best experience they cannot get anywhere else.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I live by.
Wow.
Because I'm working for God.
Uh-huh.
I'm the one being judged by him.
Uh-huh.
So if I try to do a little, he won't know. I'm going to make a little money on the side here with a kickback. Or I'm not going to tell him that, I'm going to work,
Right.
It always comes.
Right.
For me, maybe it's a high school thing. For me, it came around faster. If I spit gum on the street and then I littered or did something bad was going to happen sooner, right away with me. So I can't get, So
you're as, hey man, I got to do what's right to start.
I have to.
So you're all.
And I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm a straight shooter because I'm a New Yorker. Sometimes I say things that some people don't want to hear, and I try to be as honest and,
Right.
kosher as possible. But I mean, I live by that.
Yeah.
And
the thing that I really like about our discussion today is all of your energy is core energy. I mean, I talk to a lot of people. We do a lot of podcasts. And what you've got core energy coming out of you. And that's really authentic, which says, hey, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I've done. And I think the thing that I'm really, that I really think is really profound is that the experiences that you've had, you've been able to direct that towards a really positive energy towards working with people. It almost seems like your whole existence has been prepared you for the whole idea of helping people, blessing their lives, being somebody that they can count on.
Well, what do they say? Your test is your testimony, right?
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that based on your test, based on the things that you've been through, and you've been able to translate that into experiences with your clients, I mean, that's huge, Eric. That's something you can't put a price on, right?
Right.
And it's like, okay, do I want to work with somebody who really does want to just put the stick in the ground? Or do I want to work with somebody who's going to give me everything they have? And I think that a real estate professional, we underestimate ourselves a lot. As a lender and the people that I speak with, I think there are people who underestimate themselves, and I still do, about our abilities and what kind of change we can make. Because when it comes to housing is permanent, right? It's all permanent. It's grounding, right? It's something that affects people's lives, their lives 110%. And I think that you get that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting with clients because one thing I get a kick out of, I ask people to give me reviews. I didn't do it in the past because I thought, that's weird. Why would you tell people to get reviews? But I get a kick out of them because that's how I really verify what people think of me. And then I had people, when I was done, doing their deal or whatever I was doing with them, to write on my LinkedIn. And over 100 reviews later, I really get to read them, and it really makes me feel good. It makes me know that what I'm doing is correct.
Yeah.
It gives me, a verification that, that now I can hold a higher standard and do even more now. Because, Actually, it's nice when someone says something bad, or if they ever say something like, oh, I mean, they never have. I mean, I guess I always ask people, what could I, what lagged here?
Yeah.
If something lags, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the escrow process was too bad, and this, and, something always, right?
Yeah.
I actually like that, because then I can improve on that. How can I do better with it?
Yeah, you can make it better.
Yeah. Or who can I partner up with to make it easier?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the reviews. It makes me want to improve more.
Yeah. Eric, what would you say to millennials right now? Because I particularly have a passion for millennials. It's really weird because I'm a boomer, right? I'm this guy that's like ancient, where when I bought a house, it was like no issues. It was a little bit difficult. I mean, I had to work a little bit, but nothing like it is today.
Right.
So what would you say to millennials who are getting challenged, who feel discouraged, who just feel like this is worthless?
Right. I mean, now, in my opinion, is the best time to buy. Let me tell you why. I know inflation's up, the interest rates are up, but when the rates come down again, there's going to be a bidding war, more than likely. And when there's a bidding war, you're going to spend more money. The last bidding war we had, people were spending $60,000 to $100,000 over asking price. And now, with some of the homes that are sitting with some other realtors, other places, there's a chance that you could get closing costs, that the seller would pay that when you're putting on an offer. So you could potentially right now, even though the rates are higher, saving like $60,000, right? So let's just say your payment was $300, $400 more a month. Let's just say $1,000 more, $12,000 for the year, right? Let's say in a year or so. Let's say in a year the prices are going to change a little. I don't know. I think so, right? Maybe a year. No one knows. No one's got the crystal ball. So you paid the $12,000 extra, right? But you saved the $60,000, right? Because you probably got closing costs paid for. The seller probably did a couple price reductions. You're not going against a bidding war of like 10 people with cash or a couple people with cash, and they're way over that. So when the rates drop, you just refinance, and that's it. So that even if it was another year, $24,000. I know that sounds like a lot to some millennials, but you just refinance, and now you're probably going to be in, maybe 5%, maybe 4%, who knows?
So what about those where there's multiple bids on the properties? And because I've had some clients that are first-time home buyers, and there's been, 4 or 5 offers on the property. But what would you say to that? What would you say to those individuals? Do they just stop and wait, or do they move forward?
The longer you wait, the more money it's going to cost. Because especially in this state, in California, inventory is so low. There's not enough homes for people. And there's believe it or not, there's still people coming here. A lot of overseas people are still coming here. They're going to school. They're looking for, in some countries, you can't even buy a house for $1 million. So America is still on sale compared to, especially to Asia, right?
Right.
So, and some countries, Asian countries, other countries, they've been saving for their kids like since they were babies. They have a fund. And that's some of the reasons why some people can pay cash for homes, even though they're not using the cash offer from other companies. So they're still going to school here. As you know, you're a USC grad, right? You're alumni. USC, UCLA, all these, top schools. Their kids are going here. Pepperdine, right?
Right.
LMU. So there's still people coming here, even though a lot of people are leaving here. But again, if more people leave here, there's still not enough homes for the people that are here. I mean, there would have to be, I think, millions and millions of people.
Right. So the idea is not to give up.
Yeah.
Keep at it.
But again, it depends on the realtor you're using. Like I said, I don't even know how many offers there were on the table. Maybe 16. The example, one of the many examples I was just giving you, the one. And we were both a cash offer, and theirs was a higher one. But again, the relationship with the realtor wanted to work with me more because they trusted me. I communicated to them effectively that the transaction is going to go smoother with me than with the other agent.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I throw in so many other elements that other people can't do. For an example, I'll tell you one of them. So my wife works at Neiman Marcus, right? This is a luxury brand store. And so at the time, she was one of the top Chanel handbag sellers. So I would say to the realtor, if it was a woman or whatever, and they were into the bags, I said, hey, do you like Chanel? Oh, I love Chanel. My wife works at, Beverly Hills. Would you like to see, I could be the first one. If it comes in, we'll get it to you. Well, if you want it, oh, that'd be great. You get me this house, and I'm your point of contact in Beverly Hills. And boom. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. It sounds funny, but it's the truth.
Right, right.
So I got to be what no other agent can do. So that's what I do.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the last question for you, Eric. If you were to say whatever you want, if you were to say the most important thing, the essence of what you would be saying, that you want to say to the world, if you had a megaphone that everybody could hear, what would you say? What are the last thoughts that you'd like to leave with us today?
Be your most authentic, ethical, valuable self. And you got to do anything you can to be your best self. And that just doesn't mean making money. That means in your health, in your relationships. One person can change your life. And it's not even the super wealthy billionaire person, which they can too change your life, but it could be that person that's dirty that you don't even think could help you one bit, that you were just nice to, whether you gave them $1 or whether you just gave them a smile. And that one person, you'd be surprised how that comes back to you. And you got to make sure that you don't expect anything back. The more you give, the more you get back. I'm telling you that I got that from the Bible, and that's been helping me tremendously. I shouldn't even be where I'm at right now. Like with all the trials and all the error, everything that we've been through, it's always because of that. And another thing too is it's who you hang around with. That is so dangerous. Who you hang around with and what you're thinking. Because if you're around the wrong people, the energy will rub off. So you want to be around as many good people, as valuable people that are improving themselves to be their best selves. And then naturally that's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
So.
Outstanding. Yeah. Well, very good. All right, man.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for being here in the Mainstreet studio. And
it's beautiful. I love it.
And that's great, Eric. Thanks so much.
Thank you. God bless you.